Captain John Pelletier from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department could soon be the top cop on Maui. The Maui Police Commission narrowed down the list of candidates for Maui Police Chief from 5 to 1 today. The commission chair says they felt Pelletier was the right person for the job and the community was asking for change.
We sensed in all of the candidates a sense of integrity and commitment, but this particular candidate, in my mind, actually had some very, very concrete solutions and directions that he communicated and articulated well. You need an understandable path forward where you can measure that progress that you're trying to achieve. And for myself, I think the candidate Pelletier gave the most coherent argument for that kind of movement forward.
Pelletier can still go through an extensive pre-employment assessment, and the commission plans to take its final decision on November 3rd. Former Maui Police Chief Tivoli Fa'aumu retired in May.
The Maui Police Commission today approved John Pelletier as the new chief of police, while the Honolulu Police Department search for a new chief remains stagnant. Jen Boniza follows up.
Ano?
Yes.
Commissioner Moniz?
A very strong yes.
The Maui Police Commission voted unanimously, approving John Pelletier to head the Maui County Police Department Wednesday.
At this time, okay, we can clap. Congratulations, Chief Pelletier. Let me be first on behalf of the Police Commission to welcome you to your new responsibilities. Maui Nui is looking to you for not only steadfast leadership, but also compassion buttressed by strength.
It is truly an incredible blessing. I am humbled. I am honored to have been given this kuleana, to given this opportunity.
Pelletier, currently a captain at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, beat out 4 other finalists in early October for the position. He was the only candidate not from Maui. During the selection process, the commission heard the community's desire for transparency and a fresh perspective. They felt Pelletier was the best person to usher in positive change. He says he wants to hit the ground running when he's sworn in on December 15th.
I think it's important that my police department hears from me that there will be no bigger cheerleader, no bigger proponent for the work that they do than me.
His #1 goal, move the department and community forward.
We are in this together. We are in this as one, for one Maui County, one Hawaii, for all of us.
Meanwhile, the hunt for Honolulu Police Department's new chief is in limbo until the consultants are chosen. The consultant's job is to narrow down the pool of 19 applicants for chief of police for the commission.
We are in the 5th month since the initial advertisement for consulting services, which commenced in June. As a reference, the previous chief selection process took 6 months to secure the consultant in 2017.
Ewan says they are very close to choosing the consultants.
Humbled to be in this position. I really am. I'm definitely very happy that we got to where we had to go. In 2 months and 2 days, was announced as the final candidate. Had to sell my house, retire from my other job, find a house, withdraw the kids from school, get the kids into school, pack and ship everything we had, and you figure there's a few holidays in there, so it was rather a lot. But that's you know a modicum of issues compared to what some of the challenging opportunities that we really have, because I'm really looking forward to those. The outpouring of the community that came, the cross section is just incredible. So I'm feeling overwhelmed and extremely blessed.
I'm confident that the Commission made the right choice under the circumstances in terms of looking at the future of the department and what the community was asking for. So I think we had to balance those things, and we had 5 excellent candidates, but we finally decided that for these particular circumstances and for our community to move forward within the department and within the community, that Chief Pelletier was the best choice.
One of the first things is we're going to create MMAC, the Maui PD Multicultural Advisory Council, which is where we get the chance to have a cross-section of the community and maybe community members that feel disenfranchised or not listened to actually speak to the deputy and myself, but that we can hear directly from them on different challenges, barriers, and things like that, so we can create lokahi, so we can actually really be unified. And that is a priority, so much so that I started to put those wheels in motion even before today was there.
That was the chief's decision to have Kimberlyn Scott sitting next to his wife. And I thought it was appropriate. It symbolized the community, the larger community, especially those who are experiencing particular distress in certain areas. But I think it's a symbolic of a larger motivation for this particular chief in terms of how he wants the community to be involved at every step along the way.
I really feel like the minorities that have been downplayed or kind of left to their own devices in years past under previous administration, this administration hears us. And that's what I'm coming away from this with. And we will be speaking loudly. We're going to be speaking for the victims, the families, the homeless, missing, and drawing as much attention to that as we possibly can with this chief, and I do feel we will be heard.
What his plans are there for the public to see. Now we need a little bit more concrete evidence of what those plans are going to be and how they're going to live itself out within the department and in the community. And then the second half of this is we're going to have to look forward to developing, I believe, and I'm going to talk to the Commission about this, but about developing a more open and collaborative evaluation process.
I asked for the creation of a cold case squad with part-time individuals so that we could look at different cases such as missing persons, homicides, and other felony crimes that maybe are left unsolved. I asked for the creation of a full-time recruiting director and an assistant recruiting director, because I don't want to take a cop off the street to go do a job that they maybe don't have the background training to do. Let's get a professional to do that, because we're down 20+%. And I would say if you cut off 20% of your body, how functional are you? So we really need to get that established right away. And then the canine program helps augment our shortage. It also does two things. It helps with the patrol function and the search function, but it also helps us with recruiting and gives us an ability to strengthen some of our numbers without adding personnel, because I'm not going to be able to get the personnel as quickly as I could get a program like that running. Men and women, please know this, that I will do everything in my power each and every day to make sure that you have everything you need, that you are safe, that you are protected. I will make sure I am your voice when you need it. I will hold you when you need it. I will be there to comfort, to guide you, to protect you, to help you. I will never ask you to do anything I will not do myself. I will go to the gates of hell and kick the devil in the teeth with you. God bless you for all that you do.
Joined by Assistant Sheriff Charles Hank, and we are talking about 1 October, 1 year later, and we do thank you, Assistant Sheriff, for being here and for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Lot to cover. Let's get right into it. Where do you feel a year after this tragic event we are as a community when you see the Vegas Strong, now Vegas Stronger hashtag, and some of the events in the community? Where do you feel we stand today?
Well, I think we stand at a good place. I think it's truly caused us to bring synergy, collaboration, and work closer together. I think the essence aside, and now you have to go relive it and share. But it's important that we do that because a record was set that day that we don't want to see broken. Not that one we're proud of, but we know if it were to occur again, there'll be additional loss of life. So if we could do anything.
But first, now to our other top story of the night. The Valley Isle's top cop under fire tonight for creating what some say is a hostile work environment.
This all comes after months of complaints about how low morale at the Maui Police Department is happening. Some say the climate is pushing many officers to consider leaving the force. KITV4's A'ali Iduklo has new details about the ongoing strife at MPD.
Maui Police Chief John Pelletier has been on the job for about 7 months now and has racked up 7 official work environment complaints. The employees who filed the grievances don't want to speak out because of fear of retaliation, but former ranking officers speaking on their behalf tell me one involves a woman who was cursed at during a meeting and that working under Pelletier has led her and several others to seek help from psychiatrists and anxiety medication.
There was no leadership. It was a dictatorship.
Former Maui Police Department Lieutenant William Hankins had more than 30 years of service under his belt. Hankins worked under 5 different chiefs, but says he retired early because of Pelletier, alleging the recently installed head created what he calls a hostile and toxic work environment from the very first meeting.
Telling the command staff that if you don't agree with him and support him, he's going to fillet you.
People walking around on eggshells, nobody wants to say anything.
After 28 years in the force, former Assistant Chief Clyde Holokai also retired early because of Pelletier's management. Holokai and Hankins agree the internal friction at MPD is unprecedented. For Holokai, he believes the stress of working under Pelletier even took a physical toll on him.
In about 2 months, I lost about 15 to 20 pounds working under him.
Hearing the complaints from employees at MPD, the police union surveyed 60% of its personnel back in April, with a third of them reporting they are thinking of leaving within the next 2 years. Many citing morale as a top reason for considering a departure. The Maui Police Department is already 100 officers short.
The results were quite alarming.
Workers surveyed also gave Pelletier poor scores on 12 out of 13 categories. One question asks whether the chief fosters strong morale, with most responding not very well or not well at all. The police union is waiting on the findings of the complaint probes to determine next steps.
Maybe lend a hand out to the chief and see what the union can do to try and bridge that gap.
An MPD spokesperson tells me the department does not comment on active investigations. The complaints will be discussed at the next Maui Police Commission meeting on Wednesday.
After weeks of investigations, the Maui Police Commission has made its decision on some of the complaints against the police chief.
Kirsty Tamashiro follows up in a story that's new at 9.
Maui Police Commission finds some of the complaints against Police Chief John Pelletier unworthy of disciplinary action. This after a unanimous vote Wednesday. The commission reviewed 3 of the complaints made by Maui Police Department employees against the chief, which alleges violations in policy and procedure.
Investigations concluded that 2 of the complaints were not substantiated by the evidence. The third complaint was not substantiated to all grounds with the exception of an incident involving raised voices and unprofessional language.
The commission took into consideration all interviews and documentation. It also inquired help to thoroughly investigate the claims.
Independent third-party investigators were retained to fully vet allegations of violations of county policies made by 2 sworn officers and 1 civilian employee of the department against Police Chief John Pelletier.
The commission heard from concerned members of the community about the allegations.
This isn't about discounting experiences. This is about showing that instead of providing a space to heal the trauma of real experiences, MPD workplace culture only deepens those wounds through political, reactive action that is convenient or beneficial to further agendas rooted in egotistical power grabs.
Meanwhile, multiple former and current colleagues of Pelletier testified in his favor.
It's fun to work there. I can't speak for the rest of the department, but I can tell you here in Kihei, we are directly benefiting from the decisions and the changes that Chief Pelletier has made.
However, Shopo says there's multiple complaints still under investigation. It expects those complaints to be investigated fully and fairly based on evidence. Shopo says it'll continue to monitor this process to ensure that any members who filed a complaint are not retaliated against for exercising their rights. The commission says Pelletier has since hired a coach to address management style.
My police commission is concerned with the police department and all its members and wants to express its strong intention to do its part to foster the healing and growth of the department and its leadership.
MPD says it will not be issuing a statement at this time. Chrissy Thomas-Shiro, KH12 News, working for Hawaii.
If you think that's the big news for today, well,
I have information that, like I said, you won't believe. We've talked all week about Maui Police Chief John Pelletier. He's the guy who was in charge of the 2017 Las Vegas shooting that, to this day, still remains a mystery. Pelletier is the same dude who on a previous video we found out received a pay raise only 50 days after he started the job. $205,000 per year, which was a 29% raise. That was even more than he asked for. Okay, so we know who we're talking about, right? Now get this. The Maui police chief with the dark trail of controversy and bad luck around him is also the Maui coroner.
I gotta tell you, I met with them. I'm also the coroner, for those that don't know that.
How convenient. Oh, but it gets worse. HB 869 was a bill that passed on January 23rd of this year, just 1 month after Josh Green took office. But what does HB 869 say? What does it do? Well, the very first section, Section 1, states, the legislature finds that coroners should be separate from law enforcement and free to make independent judgments when investigating deaths. Wow, just wow. It also says, under current state law, the chief of police for a county serves as the coroner if the county does not have a medical examiner. Making coroners independent from law enforcement will promote transparency, avoid conflicts of interest, and encourage more confidence in coroners' rulings. Remember, Maui Police Chief John Pelletier told reporters that the fire had melted metal, making the remains extremely difficult to identify.
When we find these, our family and our friends, the remains we're finding is through a fire that melted metal. We have to do rapid DNA to identify them.
With Pelletier both being in charge of the police department and in power of the investigations of the deaths, there certainly seems to be a sinister conflict of interest here. He knows exactly how many children are missing. After all, we're talking about families living in a small 5.7 square mile area. He can certainly figure out how many children were living in each home. Matt Wallace tweeted, "What are the chances that the same guy would be chief of police in 2 completely different states for both the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, Vegas shooting, and also the deadliest wildfire, Maui fires, in over 100 years in the U.S. With nearly 500 FEMA personnel on the ground in Maui, along with 270 Red Cross workers, 400 Hawaiian National Guard members, and close to 200 U.S. Army reservists, there is no way that they are still not aware of the numbers. No way.
As tonight, the search continues on Maui for a purse-snatching suspect.
It was the theft that triggered a series of events that would eventually leave a Maui Police Department longtime employee dead. It all started this morning on Kula Highway. Police say 55-year-old Terry Jones was helping her daughter deliver newspapers when somebody stole Jones' purse and drove off. According to police, Jones drove after that person, but then lost control of her vehicle while turning onto Haleakala Highway and then crashed into a tree.
Chief John Pelletier said Jones was the matriarch of the department, having worked there for 32 years. Christy Tamashiro has the story.
The Maui Police Department is mourning the loss of one of their own.
There's a void MPD has that most likely will never be filled.
Terry dedicated her life to public service, first at the prosecutor's office, then serving over 3 decades with Maui Police.
Part of the reason why I love working at the police department is I love to help the community.
All right, this leads us to the Maui Police Chief, John Pelletier. This is the same guy who led the response to the deadly Las Vegas shooting in 2017. You know, the one with all the controversy and questions around it? As the police chief, this pivotal role places him responsible for ensuring the safety of not only 165,000 Maui residents, but also 3 million tourists who visit the island. Only 50 days after he started as police chief, he asked for a raise. Strange, right? What's even more strange is that they gave him more than he asked for. Pelletier went from a salary of $158,000 in December to $205,000 in less than 2 months. Last week, after 50 days on the job, Maui Police Chief John Pelletier asked the Police Commission for $195,000 a year instead of his current annual salary of $158,851. A 23% raise. However, commissioners believed he deserved more and recommended a 29% raise, which would come out to $205,000. Pelletier told police commissioners that he took a pay cut when he left Las Vegas as a police captain. Oh, okay, it makes sense now. I mean, he said he took a pay cut after, you know, the thing in Vegas. So now he'll probably quit the Maui force and go join another force and ask for another raise. Nothing to see here. Oh wait, there is. Hawaii News Now stated he was hired to improve transparency and accountability within the force. He ordered the police to reroute all of the citizens back into danger zones, refusing to let them get to safety. Sadly, many had to jump into the ocean to save their own lives. How's that for transparency?
People here. Maybe it's different for you because you just got here, huh? So it's not the same. It's not the same.
No comment?
You have to look up what photo.
No comment right now, guys.
No comment?
Yeah.
I'm not talking to the chief, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
Why doesn't he want to speak to the people? Only to a camera.
You can do this thing in here.
No, we called up. We've been looking for him. I thought we were going to do Top Story Tuesdays all over the island. Chief, have coffee. Haven't seen him. Been looking for him for a couple of years. What happened? Can you explain Pono to me again, sir, and Aloha? I'd love to hear it from you. Why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head, sir? You don't want to answer, huh? Okay.
We'll talk to you another time, guys.
Yeah, you won't talk to us another time. That's the thing. It's a very cowardly move. It's shocking.
Maui Police Chief John Pelletier told reporters that the fire had melted metal, making the remains extremely difficult to identify.
When we find these, you know, our family and our friends, the remains we're finding is through a fire that melted metal. We have to do rapid DNA to identify them. Every one of these 89 seen yesterday. And
relief in from the other county police departments?
you know, the count
and a wrong way to wear your Masonic ring depending on your particular status. So, typically here's what you're going to see, your people to look at. I have always worn mine like this. It's just a preference, I suppose.
I say, Holmes, what is this mumbo-jumbo?
The handshake and the ring, Watson, are archaic rituals preserved by the 33rd degree members of the secret order of Freemasons.